So you're at Bryson, you're this young executive on top of the world.
Yes.
And then you gave it all up.
Yes.
And went to Italy. Which is really what I want to hear about.
That's why you're here today.
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about it. So...
And I was like, can she please take me with her? And
please, I want to go to Italy. So
it wasn't just quitting your job though. You sold all your worldly possessions.
Yes. So where it all stemmed from was I made a pilgrimage to Italy before I did all of that.
Okay.
I was still working as a VP. I took pretty much the first vacation in 3.5 years working crazy. And it wasn't just working, let's say like 60, 70 hour weeks, which some people are listening to this being like, that's not that many hours a week. But it was the qualitative nature of what I put into 1 hour. It was my heart. I cared so much about every decision. So I finally took a vacation. I was so excited. I went to Italy and I just picked.
And I think that's around the time we met. Did you go for like a month?
Yeah, that might have been around the time. Yeah. I went for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
And I knew that my family, Cantafio comes from Calabria, which is like way southern Italy, the little tip of the boot that's kicking Sicily.
Okay.
But my grandmother, who I was closer with, her last name was Fulgenzi, and that comes from Abruzzo, which is directly east of Rome. So pretty much central Italy, but politically and economically considered southern Italy, which means it's very poor.
Okay.
And I've
not been to Italy. I've been to a lot of places.
Okay.
And I want to go, so we'll have to talk offline.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
I'll give you all the tips, and I have some friends. Yeah, it would be great. And I knew that they came from Abruzzo. Abruzzo it's a very big region in Italy. A lot of people live there. And I didn't know where my family came from. Okay. So I literally picked a spot on the map and I went. And when I arrived, it was beautiful mountains, but I arrived on a bus in like the industrial part of the town.
Yeah.
I was like, where the hell am I? It's disgusting here. What is this? And the woman who owns the Airbnb picked me up. And because I didn't have a car, which was really stupid. I couldn't drive stick shift, so I couldn't really rent a car in the middle of nowhere in Italy because mostly they only had manual cars. And in Italian, she only spoke Italian, and I speak pretty good Italian. She was asking me like, what was my plan? Why was I there? Why this random freaking town in Abruzzo, Italy on the side of a mountain? And I just said, I picked it. And I said, well, to be honest, my family comes from here. And I know they're probably not from this region, but they're probably from somewhere here. And that's why I'm here. And she's like, well, tell me the last name. You know, if the last name, if they were here for a long time, we'll know it. I will hear it and I'll recognize it.
It means more in other countries.
Yes. Yeah. And so I said, Fulgenzi. And she said, that last name is native to this town.
Oh my gosh.
I got
what the hell are the
goosebumps.
odds? Yeah.
Yes. And then I was like, okay. And then the matron side of her family, last name was Bucci. And she said, that comes from my hometown, which is just over the other side of the mountains. So you're definitely
instant friends with this woman.
Yes. I was like, pretty much we're family. Okay, yeah. Cool. Hey, auntie. And this woman took care of me. She fed me. She didn't bathe me. she fed me.
Forget it.
This is weird. And she just took me in like family because I didn't have a car. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I did not think this through. And that was where
this is a rom-com.
It is
a
rom-com.
The start of a rom-com.
Right?
She has a son and
she did have a creepy her brother-in-law had a son or something, and that was the creepy part of the rom-com that could have unfolded. I had to be like, stay away from me, please, sir.
Yeah. You're like, I'm from Chicago.
Yes. Yeah, do not mess with me. Usually that phrase goes along.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Jordan. Yeah, that's Chicago. And while I was there, I was reading this book. It's called Swimming with the Whale.
Okay.
And it's a very esoteric book, but it is one of those books that it's like a life-changing book to the point where it chooses when you're ready to read the next chapter. It's a lot. I think I'm on chapter 3 out of, let's say, 19. It radicalizes you so much that it's scary.
Okay, yeah.
So I was reading.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
That's it. And I was reading this book in the sunlight and on Abruzzo on the side of the mountains. And there was this one section that said, I'm totally like paraphrasing and it's not going to be as beautiful when I repeat it, but it was saying, if you feel a lot of anxiety in your life right now, it's because you placed those bricks. Yeah. You built that house of anxiety. Yeah. So what you can do is knock down that house of anxiety and build a palace that brings you peace and fulfillment. And for some reason, the house metaphor, it just clicked for me. I was like, it is that simple. Doing all the work isn't that easy, but it is that simple to grasp that concept.
That you are in control. Yeah.
You're in control.
Yeah.
And right before I left, her name was Renata, Dr. Renata. She was one of the only doctors in the whole town.
She's a doctor? Oh my gosh.
Very, very intelligent woman.
Okay.
And she, right before I left, she could just see I had this feeling, this overwhelming, shaking stress because I knew I was going back to my job.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I had a couple more days back to my job. I was leaving her house to then head on an airplane home.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, build a life you don't need to escape from.
Gosh.
And that was it. That just like sealed the deal that I needed to rip apart my life. And I never say start anew because I want to use my past as a good foundation to move me forward. So I ripped apart my life. I kept the things that I loved and I flipped to the next chapter. And that meant quitting my job, selling almost all of my possessions.
Yeah.
Donating 95% of my clothes, almost all my shoes, all the things that you just I need a suitcase. I don't need anything else. And
that might be the hard part for me. Shoes. The clothing part and shoes. Yes.
It was hard. And at the same time, it was easy just because I just knew what those decisions. I bought these beautiful suits and pencil skirts and pumps for my job and for a life that I no longer liked. Yeah. And so it represented this anxiety. So I was like, I'm going to Goodwill, gonna donate this stuff. Do not, and I had no plan. I just really, and I want to stress that. It was fun. Everyone's like, maybe you should think through, what towns you're going to go to in Italy when you buy a plane ticket.
Like, no, that defeats. Because then you're putting deadlines and timelines on yourself. So what did your family think?
They thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
So my mom and my aunt kept saying, you've got balls of steel.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it has to be like a male part that we're so like I'm a strong woman. I got a strong backbone.
A vulva of steel.
Yeah, that's way more. You kick someone, he's down. You kick a woman, she's more resilient in that area. Balls of steel is what they said, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I wasn't scared because I knew that the uncertainty of my future was going to be better than the stress of my past.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you go there.
Bought a one-way ticket to Palermo, Sicily. In my head, I thought maybe I'll just start at the way end of Italy and work my way up north, where I had some family that migrated up to Varese, which is way northern Italy.
And do you have a savings that you're working off of? Or like
barely.
How are you living?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Financially was not a good decision. I was making an okay salary when I was a vice president, and I was living it up. I was out with my friends all the time.
Right.
I was out with the colleagues, and I wasn't saving my money properly.
Right.
Like I never got taught those lessons. And so I didn't have much, but I wasn't scared. I was not scared.
Well, that's why I was asking. Cause like, if you got a little cushion, then it feels a little better, but if not,
I didn't have that much of a cushion. And I'm looking back now, I'm like, it was a few grand. I think I honestly had $5,000.
Okay.
That was a lot of
that'll
money.
last a little bit.
A little bit. And I knew I could only be there legally for 90 days or less.
Oh, okay.
Because of the tourist visa I was on. So I started in Palermo. I spent a week alone doing yoga in my Airbnb. It was the rainy season. I was like, I'm going to go to the beach and it's going to be this fantasy. And it was not from that perspective. The weather, it was cold. It was maybe like 45 degrees, 55 degrees and just icky like rain and clouds. And I tried to make the best of it because I'm like, I'm not going home. Are you kidding me? But it was a good time of solitude for me to go, what the hell did I just do?
Which is what you needed apparently.
I did. Yes. I needed that silence and that I needed the dust to settle.